Hi, today we're analyzing the rate of reaction based upon the concentration of enzymes. And what I've started out by doing is labeling my 5 beakers with 5 different solutions. I have peroxidose, a phosphate buffer with a pH of 7, a glycol of 0.2%, a buffer solution of pH 5, and a peroxide of 0.02%. And so for each of these, I have 5 different pipettes in each beaker because I don't want to cross-contaminate the solutions. What I'm going to start by doing is making a blank solution by putting in to a cuvette 4 milliliters of the pH 5 buffer, 2 milliliters of the peroxide, 1 milliliter of the 0.2% glycol, and 2 milliliters of the phosphate buffer pH 7. When filling the pipette with solution, you want to be at eye level. And we're putting in 4 milliliters of this pH 5 buffer. So what I'm going to do is, because this is only 2 milliliter buffer solution, or 2 milliliter pipette, I'm going to put all 2 milliliters in here.
Versus concentration.
And from there I'm going to proceed to put it in my blank solution test tube.
I feel like I did water potential correct though.
Like I said, only 2 milliliters, so I'm going to do it twice.
I got some big numbers.
Yes, you have. It's really fine. Just release it.
Well, did you hear me?
Gotta replace them because
Can I calculate?
there's more of all of them.
Now I'm going to carefully
So we are still on our.
take off the pipette
Those aren't
and return it back to its
those aren't
beaker.
percentages.
I'm going to do the same procedure for adding the 2 milliliters of peroxide and 1 milliliter of glycol and the 2 milliliters of the phosphate buffer in the same way.
Oh, no.
And here we are. This is my blank test tube by adding in the 4 milliliters of pH 5 buffer, the 0.02% peroxide, the 0.2% glycol, and the phosphate buffer all mixed together in here, making my blank solution. From here, I'm now going to mix all my S1, S2, S3, and my E1, E2, E3. Now, E1 is going to require 2 milliliters of the pH 5 buffer and 0.5 milliliters of peroxidase enzyme extract and 1.5 milliliters of the phosphate buffer. My E2 will be 2 milliliters of the pH 5 buffer, 1 milliliter of peroxidase, 1 milliliter of phosphate buffer, and my E3 will be 2 milliliters of pH 5 buffer, 0.25 milliliters of peroxidase, 1.75 milliliters of the phosphate buffer pH 7, and then S1 will be 1 milliliter of pH 5 buffer, 0.02% of peroxide, or no peroxide in that one actually, or yeah, 2 milliliters of the peroxide, 1 milliliter of the glycol. The S2 will be 1 milliliter pH 5 buffer, 2 milliliter of the peroxide, and 1 milliliter of the glycol, and the same in S3, 1 milliliter of the pH 5 buffer, 2 milliliters of the peroxide, and 1 milliliter of the glycol. So all the S's are actually the same. The E's are what change because that's what we're evaluating is the different concentration of enzyme. Still. Now I have all my E solutions and all my S solutions, S1 through 3, and my base or my B solution, which I'll have labeled. And so I use the same technique with the pipette for every solution when I mix them. And so now what we're going to do is put the solutions in the cuvette.
I said stop.
Now what I'm going to do is properly take care of a cuvette before I put my blank solution in it. So what I'm going to do is wipe with the tissue, the chemical tissue, on the clear side. Notice that I'm grabbing by this etched side, not touching the clear side, because this is where the absorbance goes through. So we really want to make sure it's clear. So what I've done here is put my blank solution in the cuvette, and I'm just going to put it in the spectrometer. Like so. There's an arrow pointing. The arrow points through the clear side. Alright. Now prior to putting the cuvette in, what we want to do is make sure the spectrometer is plugged in, and so that it's plugged into this mechanism right here. And once you plug it in, it's going to say absorbance right there in the red box. And you're just going to select that red box and go down to change wavelength. It's going to ask you what wavelength we're looking for, and we are in fact looking for 500. So, let's see if I can. Now prior to putting the cuvette in, what we want to do is make sure the spectrometer is plugged in, and so that it's plugged into this mechanism right here. And once you plug it in, it's going to say absorbance right there in the red box. And you're just going to select that red box and go down to change wavelength. It's going to ask you what wavelength we're looking for, and we are in fact looking for 500. So, let's see if I can. Now what we're going to do is calibrate. So you just select on it like that, and you're going to click the top option, which is calibrate. It's going to go into a loading screen, and the lamp in the spectrometer needs to warm up. So it should have a warm-up time. Right here it says the warm-up time for the lamp. And then, once it's done, it'll have a finish calibration option. After I had finished with the warm-up, I just press finish calibration, and it comes up with this screen. We're going to press OK. From here, we're going to select the red screen again. And we're looking for mode. So we're going to go mode, actually. It was in the top right. And what we're going to look for is we're going to change the mode to time-based, right there. So it's on full spectrum. We want on time-based. And then we're going to go OK. In the bottom right corner, we're going to press OK from there. From there, we are going to do. So we already have everything done. So from here, we're going to start getting into trial. So next, what I'm going to do, and I have to do it quickly and safely at the same time, is I'm going to mix my E1 and S1 solution, and we're going to put it in the cuvette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it in here, and I'm going to try to get it quickly in the cuvette and then into the spectrometer. And from there, it's going to start reading absorbance, which we will record 20 seconds in intervals for 240 seconds, giving us 12 readings. So here we go. And always be careful. Don't go too fast that you hurt yourself.
Start now?
Yeah. So now that I have them mixed, I want to put it into the cuvette. Okay, that's in the cuvette now. So what I'm going to do is put it in the light spectrometer.
Now start.
And every 20 seconds, we're going to start with our absorbance. So every 20 seconds, we collected the absorbance at that time, and so we have it for a full 240 seconds, which is 12 intervals. So we're going to do that for 2 more trials.